I've been thinking, how do I intro this video? How do I intro something that took almost 2 months of my life and a lot of effort, a lot from my family, a lot from me, and was one of the greatest achievements I've ever accomplished in my life? Well,
chasing dreams up every hill, pushing past the limits tight, with a backpack full of will. Sunrise finds him on the road, never stops, he can't be still. Heartbeats pounding, heavy load, always climbing up that hill. Backpack guy, he's on the run. Feel the fire burst inside, breaking through the night like sun. Watch him as he hits his stride.
so what did I just do? I took on Hardcore Harry's Last One Standing Challenge. If you've never heard of it, let me break it down for you. So on January 1st, a challenge was put out to run 1 kilometre. On the 2nd, you run 2 kilometres. On the 3rd, you run 3 kilometres. And you just keep going. And the idea is that we keep running until there's one person left. I love the concept of this challenge because I'm not necessarily the fastest guy out there. I'm not the guy that's going to win the pace race, but I am the guy that will endure through the hardest days and keep pushing. So every year, I try to do 2 things. One, I start January 1st with my Running with Glebe. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. The goal is I run an ultra marathon before the sun rises on New Year's Day. Last 3 years in a row I've done it, and there's a video for each of those years up on the channel. Go and check them out. The other thing I like to do is start the year strong. So I realized over the years that because I don't do a lot between December and March, I was losing a lot of fitness at the beginning of the year. And I decided we're not doing that anymore. We're going to start each year with something to challenge us, something that takes our fitness to a new level. So last year, I did 21 days of 21 Ks. So I ran 21 kilometers a day minimum for 21 days. And it was awesome. And I loved it. And if you go and check it out, there's some good videos about it. But this year, something popped up on my radar that I thought was just perfect for my personality. The Hardcore Harry's Last One Standing Challenge. If you've not heard of this group before, they're a group of people that just love pushing themselves as hard as they can and seeing what's in them. And so they started an event called the King of the Hill. They put on regular challenges. They have an app where you can win prizes and take on challenges against some of the best athletes in Australia. So when I heard they were doing an endurance running challenge, well, that's right up my alley. That's what I love. So I thought, let's throw January in the mix. I'm going to do my Running with Glebe, so I'm going to start the year with pretty much an ultra marathon on day 1, when everyone else is doing 1 kilometre. But then on day 2, I'll do the 2, and then I'll do the 3, and I'll just keep building, and we'll see where I end up. So that was the original goal, was just to see if we can get to the end of January, and then go from there. Well, we did it. Running with Glebe 2026. So we topped last year by 1 kilometre. So even after injury, we went from 52 to 53 this year. So 53 Ks as the sun comes up, New Year's Day. I'm stoked. So after running an ultra marathon on day 1, I knew recovery was going to be the next most important thing. So day 2, day 3, even day 4, were all classed as just recovery runs. So I took it easy. So day 3 was just a little update, just to let people know that I was doing the challenge. Then we get through to day 5. And I think day 5 is an important one because park runs are a pretty big deal for a lot of people. So 5Ks, that's a regular. But past 5Ks, that's new territory for a lot of people. So I want to make sure I threw some encouragement out there to push past that 5K barrier and get to day 6. So a week in, and it got hot. We're talking 40+ degree days, and that's not comfy to be running in. So as I like to do anyway, I got up real early and got those runs in while it was still dark and cooler in the morning. Once we hit that 7Ks or so, then it doesn't really become feasible to use my run to work as my Harry's run. So then it became big runs in the morning and then my general jogs to and from work as a recovery. So for day 10, there's a regular loop I do from my place, which is 10 kilometers around Mount Barker with a good amount of elevation, about 165 meters of elevation. There's 3 nice hills in amongst it, one right at the beginning, one in the middle, and one near the end. So that's one of my favorite 10K loops. I figured, well, perfect. There's my 10Ks done for day 10. And what a fun one it was. I made a little video that's just showing a snippet from each kilometer for those following along at home. So day 12, I did an extra K. I did 13Ks. So in the words of Nick Bear, go one more. I did one extra just for fun. So far I haven't really talked about how many people were still in it. I was just focusing in on getting the job done, and so I hadn't concentrated on the amount of people that were actually taking part. So at the beginning there were just over 300 people. As of day 14, so 2 weeks in, there's a little over 120. So quite a few people had given it a go and started, but by 2 weeks we were down to about a third of the field. We're 2 weeks in. Look, that's a big milestone for a lot of people. Doing 2 weeks of running every single day, and at this point we're up to 14 kilometers a day. So I made sure in my video on day 14 that I mentioned about going one more. Right, we talked on day 12 about doing one more kilometer. Well, day 14 I talked about doing one more day. Right, if you can get past the 2 week mark and get to that, that 15th day, I think that's a big milestone. Day 16. You're amazing if you're still out there, and well done if you just gave it a go. It's getting tough. I know today I felt it. It was a tough get up out of bed, and the legs are feeling a bit tired, but you know what? We go through these ups and downs. So today, no matter how you're feeling, keep going, right? I want to see you out here tomorrow for day 17. You're amazing. As much as I run a lot, that doesn't mean every day goes easy. Day 16, for some reason, was a tough one. I did have a bit of a rough day that day. I know thinking about past history, thinking about what you've done before, is a good way to remind yourself that you're capable of more. So that's what got me through that day, was remembering that this isn't the first time I've taken on a challenge like this, and this is definitely not the last time. After day 16, until we got to day 21, the focus was really just to get the runs done and upload my Running with Glebe video to my YouTube channel. So that's the ultra marathon I ran before the sun rose on January 1st. Best way to start this crazy challenge. So if you haven't, go and check that video out. But anyway, leading up to 21, it was just about getting to that half marathon distance. I knew 21 days was a nice milestone, and 21 Ks is a great number. Now 20 kilometers, that's a pretty standard morning run for me. So up to that point, I wasn't too worried about morning preparation, carrying gear with me, hydration, nutrition. I figured I'm just going to live my normal life as I always do. So everyday dinners with the family, my normal morning routine, just running with the general gear I run with. But after that 20K distance, that's when we'll start looking at some of the gear I used to get me through to the big numbers. I thought, well, this is a good time for me to talk to you a little bit about some of my lifestyle choices that get me through challenges like this. A couple of little things, right? One, I get my gear ready before I go to bed. That way when I get up in the morning, I can just throw it on and get out the door. Another big one, lots of hydration. I'm a big believer in hydration. Before bed, I will normally scull down a drink bottle that's got things like electrolytes, magnesium, maybe some kind of multivitamin. That way I'm kind of getting the body prepped for the morning. I'll quite often do some maintenance work on my legs, whether that be some stretching, some rolling. I've got quite a few bits of equipment in my bedroom that I'll use just to stretch out the legs or to build some strength, even some things like kettlebell work, that kind of stuff. Now, being that I'm expecting to go quite long in this challenge, I didn't go too hard on the heavy strength training. It was more about just keeping everything limber. And I've got a few creams I'll use, things like that if I'm feeling a bit tight or tender. But the cool thing with this challenge was that, honestly, I felt fantastic. I've just come through an injury back at Hyson last year, and before this challenge started, I thought I'd have a catch up with the physio. He was really impressed with the work I'd done, and he said, yep, I'm on the right track. So I didn't feel like I had to do a lot of hard work on my legs. It was more just maintenance, so I could keep myself going as long as possible. We've made it to the half marathon. 21 days, 21 Ks. This was a big deal because last year when I did a challenge like this, it was a 21-day challenge. Now we're getting into new territory. So I was going to wait till the end to talk about some of the biggest highlights of this challenge. But I thought I might sprinkle a few in amongst this video so you can kind of see why I really enjoyed it and why I got so much out of it. And we'll save the best ones till the very end. So one of the first benefits I want to talk about in this video was the fitness at the beginning of the year. Starting the year with a challenge like this was awesome. It's exactly what I wanted. You know, I do my running with Glebe on New Year's Day as a way to kick myself into gear and get the mind in the right place. But this got the body in the right place. You know, I feel like this is the fittest I've ever been after doing a challenge like this. So yeah, so that was number one benefit, was the fitness and starting the year in the best possible physical condition I can be in. If you've ever done a backyard ultra through Ultra Series, you know what the rule is with lap 22. And today, it was day 22. What a beautiful morning to go for a run. That's where we're going, up to the summit. Here we go. From 21 Ks onwards, it's getting fun, right? I love a good 20 to 25K run in the morning because it's the perfect time of day for me to run. Living in the Adelaide Hills, I see some beautiful sky. It's funny, quite often in the morning, I'll have people who know me honk, wave, stop to say hi, and it actually happened quite a few times over the next few days. Day 24, I had someone stop that knows me. When I was out running with Brogan on one of the mornings, we had someone stop and yell out to me. So it was cool. Day 25, my friend Brogan, she's training up for her first ultra marathon, so she asked if she could come for the run. Of course, I'd love to have a friend out there. So she came out, ran the 25 Ks with me. We had a great time. Thanks, Brogan. Another big benefit of doing this challenge was getting myself into a really good routine. To be able to do this, I had to be strict, so strict on my timings, on how I did things. And look, it didn't always go to plan, but it helped me get into a really good rhythm. So the structure and the routine, another great benefit to doing this. So let's talk about the weather for a second. Over the course of this challenge, I had quite a few bits of weather. One thing I was sad about, I didn't really get any rain. I love running in the rain. You know, running in the storms is good fun, but what we did get is some crazy hot days. So day 26, was a 41-degree day, so I thought I'll get out real early, get that run in while it's still kind of cool in the morning. Now, it was hot, but what came next was even crazier. It got really muggy. So over those few hot days, it was some pretty uncomfortable runs. And this is where we come into one of the other keys to getting through challenges like this. There's a bit of extra maintenance you got to do when you're running every single day without a day's rest. And that's to do with keeping yourself well protected. Now, if you're running during the day, obviously sunscreen, important. But when you're running over and over again, there's a couple of areas that can get quite uncomfortable. One of them is the chafing on the nipples, right? I'll be upfront with you. This one's about prevention. It's not about what you do after the fact. It's about what you do before that's important. So my big thing is Band-Aids. These delicates are protected by Band-Aids almost 24/7 because I run so much. If I don't do it, they get sore. The other one is chafing. Now, if you followed my journey, you know, it used to be quite large. Being that I lost over 50 kilos when I got into this running journey, one of the things I have had to deal with a bit over the years when I run long distances is chafing. Now, chafing sucks, right? You can get it anywhere. You can get it between the legs, under the arms, you know, there's lots of places. So the key to that is something that keeps everything moving and gliding. Now, some people have specific things they'll use. Honestly, Vaso. I carry a little pot of Vaso in my backpack or in my pack if I'm doing long distances, but I make sure before I leave the house, I'm comfortably coated. Put it that way. So days 27 to 29, another beautiful sunrise. Day 28, just another Wednesday. Obviously, normally most people have a long run day when they're training. So it might be Sunday, it might be Saturday, something like that. Well, at this point in the challenge, every day is a long run day. So I figured, let's talk about the fact that it's just Wednesday. And here I am running 28 kilometers. All right, let's talk the third benefit. So the third benefit of doing this challenge was actually testing my body properly. Right, I've been dealing with these injuries and these ankle problems, things like that for the last 1.5 to 2 years. And this was a great way to test, have I done the right work? You know, was that rest I took at the end of the year last year really beneficial? And what I've learned was yes, the rest was good, the work I've done has worked, all the advice from my physio is working perfectly, and I was able to pull this off. So obviously I'm in a better position than I was in the last 1.5 years. So day 29. Now, day 29 started really well. It was a fun run. I did a section I don't do regularly. It was going really nicely. And then between 15 and 20 Ks, I was putting my phone back in my pocket and I caught just a little bit of concrete and over I went. As you can see in my video, scun up the elbow, the knee, I actually did the hip, I did the foot. So it was a good amount of damage. And here we are, you know, 3 weeks later, I'm still healing up a little bit from it. It's amazing how your body takes its time to heal when you're pushing your body to its limits every single day. But the point was, I wasn't gonna let that stop me, all right? I'm not gonna back down. So even though I hurt myself, up I got and kept running. I actually did the next 3 Ks or so after the fall were the fastest 3 Ks of the run. I think it was kind of a mental game. I think I wasn't gonna let myself feel it too much. I was just going to keep going and then deal with the wounds later. And that's the thing with challenges like this, is sometimes you're going to hurt yourself. Sometimes things won't go to plan. Now the difference is whether you've injured yourself in a way that's going to cause you to have to stop, or whether you've just hurt yourself a little bit and you just have to push through. So this was just superficial wounds, some blood, that's it. So we kept going. Here we are, we're almost at day 30. We've almost made it to the end of January. So just another fun video of just me going out for another run. I know, it's pretty repetitive at this point, but it's pretty exciting too. You know, getting up every single day, getting out there, getting the run done, knowing I've completed it, uploading it, and knowing I'm uploading it nice and early. Because most of my runs start at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, you know, I'm uploading a run at 6:30, 7 in the morning. And a lot of people are actually going out for their run at that point, or some people work early and have to go for their runs in the afternoon. So it just feels good to get it done and then move on with my day. Go to work, spend time with the family, whatever it is I'm doing that day. So onwards to day 30. So I know this is going to sound silly, but day 30, rest day. We're not resting from the runs, but we're using it as a rest day for the run. So 30 Ks, I just took it easy. I did one of the loops that I know really well. I know there's still plenty of elevation because it's what I do, but I was able to kind of just cruise. Knowing the road well means I know I can just take it easy. I don't have to concentrate as hard, and I kept the pace down so that way my body could recover a little bit, getting ready for the end of January, because day 31 was obviously the original goal. So the fourth benefit of doing this challenge. And not just doing this challenge, but documenting it, posting videos, you know, getting people involved. That was the people, right? I have made some amazing friends through this. I've reconnected with people. I've had a whole bunch of new friends start following me on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube because of this challenge. And this is going to sound goofy to some people, but I've really got to enjoy some time by myself, right? I've got out there and I've just run, and I've listened to podcasts and I've listened to audiobooks, and I've just spent hours and hours, just by myself, remembering what my goals were, thinking about where I want to be now, where I want to be in the future, thinking about the things that I'm doing right now that maybe I can do better, or things that I can change. So that's a huge benefit to me, and I love running for that reason. I love spending time out there running, doing this. But it's different when you're running short distances. When you're doing big long runs, you have time to actually think. So that's another big benefit, is that I've actually had time to myself and for myself, so I can become a better version of me for everyone else around me. So day 31. Now this is an interesting one because I didn't know how far I was going to go. The plan originally was, let's get to the end of January. So day 31 was technically the end. Now, what made it funny was when I looked at the numbers on the Hardcore Harry's challenge website, they talked about 60 days, right? They had put an end date at the end of February. So in my mind, I thought we were halfway. Not realizing they just had to put an end date on it for the app's sake. They hadn't officially intended on it going just that far, but the record last year was 55 days. So I made a video talking about the fact that we were halfway there. Well, we weren't, but it was a cool run that day because off in the distance, there was a massive storm and I saw so much lightning. I probably watched lightning for an hour and a half of my run. I was just watching this lightning cruise past me off in the distance. And it was a pretty long run. So I wasn't sure if I was gonna end up in it, but I just got to enjoy it from a distance. I reckon I held my phone up for easily 20-25 minutes of my run, just trying to get the video footage of all that crazy lightning I was seeing. So I got some of it. Well, January came and January went. And as much as getting to the end of January was the original goal, I thought, well, I'm feeling good. Everything's going well. Timing's doing good. So let's move into February. So off we went. Now, February started on a Sunday. And Sunday is generally long run day. But we also had a family event that we were going to. And at this point, it was getting tighter and tighter on my sleep. So Beck wanted me to get a little extra sleep. So being the amazing wife she is, she told me, have a sleep in, get up, have some breakfast, and you run to the family event we're going to, which was in Aldgate, and get your 32 Ks in doing that. I was like, what a legend. I love a good commute run when you've got to go somewhere, so you just run there anyway. What was funny though was that we were going to the Aldgate RSL, which my dad's the president of, and it's only about 19 Ks from our house. So I ran to the RSL, then I ran past the RSL, then I did some big loops around Stirling, and out towards Crafers, and then I finally came back, ran back to Aldgate, and we had a lovely lunch together. So fun family day after going for a long run. And that was day 32 in the bag. The other thing I want to make mention of is in that video, I talked about how supportive and amazing my wife is, and how another guy had made a video doing the challenge about his supportive family. And that's the thing, right? There's plenty of people out here doing these challenges by themselves and getting them done. But it's so much better when you can do it with the support of people around you. My wife is so supportive. She helps me get this stuff done. She will look after kids while I'm out running. She will make sure I'm on track. So I made sure in that video, my wife got a big shout out, because here I am 32 days into this challenge, and it wouldn't be possible without my beautiful wife. Thanks, Beck. The sixth benefit of doing this challenge, and this one you don't notice necessarily until you get deep into it or you get to the end of it, but it reminds you just how important the people around you really are. Because I couldn't do this without them. So it just, relit a fire inside me to remember how important my family are, my wife especially, how much support they give me, and maybe how much I take that for granted sometimes. So that, to me, is a huge benefit of doing these challenges, is that it reminds me how important these people are. So after the challenge is done, I make sure I focus on them and I give them everything I've got. All right, day 33. Now, day 33 was a fun one because that's my day off. So I'm off on Mondays, and I look after my daughter on those days while my wife goes to work. So one of our favorite things to do, jump in the running pram, go out for a nice big run. And what a perfect way to get my 33 Ks in. So my kids have grown up hanging out in running prams. So they're used to it. And I've done some long distances running with the kids in the pram. So Katie was ready for it. We've got a great setup. We got music for her, we got drinks, we got snacks, and we got a great path to run along. There's a bike track, a nice long one, a few Ks from our house, called the Amy Gillett Bikeway. So off we go, and she gets to see the views and enjoy some great scenery while moving at, I think, quite a reasonable pace. So that was day 33.
Say yay!
Daddy Katie Day. So much fun. Now, I know I've talked this up a lot and I've made it sound really positive. I'll be honest, it's not always easy. There are some days where this was really, really hard, right? But that's not what I want to focus on, right? We have hard days all the time in life, right? And we do hard things. But the best part about doing a challenge like this is when you do something hard, everything else feels a bit easier. So after pushing through some of these long days and the heat and the crazy storms and injuries, we got on to day 34, and I wanted to have some fun. I want to do something a little silly, a little bit more enjoyable. There is a big walking path through Mount Barker, the Larratinga Trail, that goes from my house all the way out to the Mount Barker Sports and Recreation Centre. And along the way, there is a lot of bridges. We go over bridges, we go under bridges. And so I thought, let's have some fun with it. So I ran back and forth along that track to get my 34 kilometers, and I counted how many times I went over a bridge. 60 times I went over and under bridges. So I thought I'd just make a fun video of what it's like to run over 60 different bridges. The one thing though, I talked earlier about chafing. I wore a new top that I've never worn for a run before. Nothing new on race day. And technically every day is race day when you're doing a challenge like this. So I ended up a bit of underarm chafe and a few other things. So I wasn't comfortable, but we dealt with that. Day 35, another big loop around the hills, but again, another beautiful sunrise. And I happened to be right on top of a hill in Nan as the sun was coming up. So I got a great view of that one. Now this many days in, you may have noticed my pace varies a bit. I know some of the guys doing this challenge are really, really consistent. Same kind of pace pretty much every day, and that's how they're able to keep going. Whereas for me, because I do different elevation every day, I do a different course every day, I don't like running the same course twice, I do find my pace varies a bit. But what it does mean is sometimes I'll have an easy day. Sometimes I'll go a bit harder. So obviously on the bridge day, I went a bit faster. I was averaging about a 6-minute pace. Whereas as we get into some of these longer runs over some hills, then I might be pushing out to about 6.5 to 7-minute pace. Or even on day 36, it was over 7-minute pace because I thought I'll take it a bit easier. I did a bit more walking, I did some running. I ended up talking to Beck on the phone for a bit. I just took it easy. But what's interesting is at this point, a bunch of the other runners who were still in it had noticed some of the elevation I'm doing. And there were some comments and some messages thrown to me about how much elevation I'm actually doing. And what was funny was that when you look at the stats of a lot of the highest performers, they were doing very little elevation. We're talking maybe 100 to 160 meters of elevation per run, whereas I was averaging in the vicinity of 500 to 700 meters of elevation per run. So I thought I'd mention that on day 36, the fact that I was pushing out quite a bit of elevation. I looked at the average of most of the runners that were still in it, and I think most of them had done about 4,000 to 6,000 meters of elevation at that point, whereas I was pushing about 14,000 meters of elevation. So trust Bart to make it harder than he needs to. But I do love where I live. I love the hills, and so it was fun. It was fun the whole time. So, being that we're running 35 plus kilometers per day now, this is the point where a pack becomes really important. As much as I love just running free and enjoying it, when you get to that kind of distance every day, hydration, fueling, even just some of the gear I have to carry becomes really important. So I started wearing my pack every day. So for the last few years, I've been using a Solomon ADV12 pack for most of my long runs, my ultras, things like that. It has the ability to carry a lot of gear. For some of the big events I do, we have to carry a lot of stuff. So having lots of pockets and lots of space is good. I can carry drink flasks, and it's quite comfortable to wear for long periods. So that's what I've been wearing. So I think this is the perfect point for me to talk about the gear I carry, the hydration, and some of the tips to fueling that I use. And this will give you an idea of how I was able to get to this point, and then how I'm able to go further too. So I'm going to run you through a few of the things that I ate, a few of the things that got me through this, and hopefully some of that information will be useful to you. So I'm a bit of a creature of habit. And what do I mean by that? Well, I'm the kind of guy that I can choose one thing I want to eat, and I can just eat it over and over and over again, which is good. It's really handy as an ultra runner, because it means I don't get flavor fatigue. I don't get sick of something so quickly that I have to change constantly what I eat. Now, when we started in the early parts of the run, we're only doing 5Ks, 10Ks, 15Ks. I didn't need much. A couple of big drinks before I ran, maybe take something in my pocket, a bar or a gel or something like that. But really, I just go. I enjoy it. Big breakfast when I get home, and I eat big dinners before I go to bed. So that gets me through. And once we hit that kind of 20 to 25 mark, then we start thinking about nutrition. We start thinking about getting me through that next tier. From this point onwards, that's where you start seeing me wear a vest with drink flasks. So in my drink flasks, I do try to have one with just water, because I find that's just nice to wash things down. And then the other one will generally be some tabs. It'll be a combination of some electrolytes, maybe some kind of an energy tab. I do like the Boost stuff, so you'll see me use a lot of Boost. And I like to change the flavor every day, just because it's nice to have a different flavor. I could put up with the same flavor over and over again, but it's nice to have a change. Leading up to day 40-ish, it was Boost tabs, and then the food I was eating along the way. So you see in the video here, some of the food I was snacking on. So there's some fruit rolls that I get from Aldi. There's some fruit bars I get from Coles. Tasty, feel like they've got a lot of energy in them, and just a nice little rush of sugar as you're running. Gels wise, the Winners gels were the main go-to for this, and have been for quite a few years now. To be really honest, it's because they're pretty cheap. We try to do this on a budget. So it's things like Winners gels that have got me through for a long time. Then the other thing, sesame snaps. They're crunchy, it's a different texture, and they seem to energize me nicely. So that's a go-to as well. As we got deeper into it though, one thing that I've had a few times, and I've enjoyed it enough, and I thought we've got to kind of step this up to a new level, is tailwind. Now the reason I'm looking at tailwind is because tailwind is not just electrolytes, but it's actually got fuel in it too. It's got energy, it's got calories, so it's a bit of an all-purpose package. Right? I can get my electrolytes, I can get my calories all in one drink, and it's easy to carry. So as we got deep into this, we thought maybe it's time. So we jumped online, ordered a couple of big bags. So for the last 4 or 5 days of the challenge, I was able to smash out some tailwind, and that got me through nicely. So I really enjoyed that. While I was getting the tailwind sorted, the other thing I tried was the new Coles branded gels. And look, I know, Coles brand, just another off-the-shelf supermarket brand, really tasty and felt really nice. They've got a different thickness to them. They're a little bit thicker than the Winners gels. So I found they were more like eating than drinking, which just made it interesting. All right, let's talk gear. Now, gear is an interesting one because everyone's got their own preference. They've got their things they like. They've got the gear that they use regularly. And I'm like everyone else. I like certain gear. But I also work on a budget. So most of my gear has come from the best sales, the best deals I can get a hold of. So most of the t-shirts I wear come from Kmart, if they've got sales on some of their sportswear. The shorts I found a deal at Audi one day on exactly the shorts I like. Zip up pockets, comfortable, fairly loose, good drawstrings. I bought 14 pairs because I figured if I found what I like, I might as well get as many as I can. So 14 pairs of those. So they got me through. Socks are an interesting one because over the years, I've got a lot of free socks for Christmas and birthdays from family and friends. So I use a lot of those. But I have also started using the Creepers toe socks and I love them. They're really good. So for a lot of the longer runs as we got deeper into the challenge, I was wearing my Creepers socks. So thank you, Creepers. Sponsorship, maybe? So let's talk shoes. Shoes, I'm a big Ultra fanboy. Love my Ultra shoes. They're fantastic. I like the big open toe box. I'm also a zero drop guy, so I don't like having a heel in my shoes if I can avoid it. So the other thing is, I don't believe in wearing the same pair of shoes twice, right? So I have to have enough pairs of shoes that I can switch them out day by day. And when you do a big challenge like this, I want to give them a couple of days to recover. So I've got a lot of pairs of Ultra shoes and I switch them up regularly. And it was great. I really had no foot issues at all during the run. Not a single blister. I did end up with one black toenail, but that actually started on the first run. So on my running with Glebe on day one, I ended up with a black toenail and it just didn't go away for the entire 50 days. So other than that, no real feet issues. I didn't even really have to do any foot maintenance, which was amazing. So that was one of the things that I didn't have to worry about at all. Day 37 was a tough one. But what I find fascinating was I speak to people who have run marathons before, and the general consensus is 37 kilometers is a tough one, right? You reach 37 kilometers, you got 5 Ks to go before you finish the marathon, and for some reason, it's just a tough couple of Ks. Quite often, parts of the body might struggle a bit. I know when I've run multiple marathons over the years, 37 Ks have generally been where my legs have tried to stop, or I feel like I've slowed down a bit. Day 37 was just like getting to kilometre 37 of a marathon. I struggled. It was rough, but I got through it. And the statement I made on this video was that it was habit and it was long-term thinking that got me through. And so what do I mean by that? Well, there's certain habits I've been doing every single day to get me through. Those kept me going on the tough days. And long-term thinking, that was about the idea that I want to get to that 42, right? So by thinking about what I've got coming up and knowing what the long-term goal is, I was able to push through when it got a bit hard and keep myself moving. So day 37, I got it done, even though it was a bit difficult. So day 39 was fun. And my friend Brogan, who I ran with earlier in the video, she contacted me and said, hey, do you want a friend for a run again? I was like, yeah, absolutely. So off we went. Originally, she was only going to do 20 or so Ks with me. But once we got 22, 23 Ks in, she decided, let's just keep going. And in the end, we actually ran an extra kilometre and made it 40 Ks instead of 39. So day 40 fell on my day off again. So Monday, the kids were at school, Beck was at work, I had cadence, I had a pram, and I had time. So we did it again. This time 40 kilometers running with the running pram. And we had a great time. It was hot. It was interesting. It was up and down hills on 40-degree heat. I wouldn't call it easy, but pushing that pram for 40 Ks was fun. We had a great time, music playing, lots of sunscreen because it was hot out there, and lots of snacks. But at the end of the day, we'd done 40 Ks, we'd had a fun time, and Katie even got to play in the playground afterwards. So let's talk about the nighttime routine for a second. Now I've got 3 kids, and they don't always decide they want to sleep, which is interesting when you need to get as much sleep as you can for a challenge. When I started this challenge, one of my kids was 3. She became 4 while I was doing this challenge. And at some point during that challenge, she decided sleep, not really an option anymore. She wanted to stay up very late every night, or she wanted to get into our bed. So just to add to my challenge, I wasn't sleeping much. I wasn't getting much sleep. But hey, if you're going to make it a challenge, let's make it a real challenge. No sleep and lots of kilometers. But my nighttime routine was effectively just get home from work, get some dinner in me, try and chill the kids out, get them ready for bed, put all 3 kids to bed. That's kind of my routine at night time, is I try to put the kids to bed when I can. So all 3 kids to bed, and then if I can snack a bit before bed, I will. If all things go to plan, the kids go down, I get into bed, Beck and I have a relaxing evening, and I'm asleep fairly early. But that wasn't really the case most of the challenge. The majority of the time, I was putting kids to bed and then continuing to put kids to bed for a long time. Once I finally got them to bed, I was so tired at that point, I just crash. Before bed, my goal is always to drink a bunch of fluids. You know, I try to drink some electrolyte drinks, some multivitamin, have a good amount of water, hydrate ready for the morning, and try to eat a few snacks before I go to bed. But it was so late some nights, I was so tired, I just ended up crashing. Fall asleep without even charging my phone or having a drink. So that wasn't the best thing I've done. But most of the time, I did the right thing, had the stuff I needed, ate some food, had a drink, went to bed, got some sleep, got up early, and off we went again for the next day. And that's how it worked for as many days as this went for. Now you'll notice a theme in my runs, which is I really don't run the same place twice. I've always loved the idea of just doing something new every day. Keeps it fresh, keeps it fun, and it's good for the body. Rather than running the same track over and over again, I feel like my body gets good variation, lots of different types of hills, different types of terrain. So day 41, we're creeping up to the marathon. We've got one more day after this to get to the marathon. So I thought, let's do a new track. Let's go somewhere I've never gone before. With this new longer distances, it was a new loop, new towns I've never run through. Obviously towns I've grown up around, so I know them well, but I've never actually run the roads before. So in the darkness, early in the morning, you get a different view of what the hills look like. So off we went and we had some fun. Day 42, the marathon. So this was a milestone for not just me, but for a lot of people. Getting to the marathon distance was a big deal. So a marathon on a random Wednesday. That's what it ended up being. So over the years, when I'm deep into my ultra marathon training, I've been known to run a marathon on a random day of the week. So today was just another one of those, right? Wednesday, running a marathon. What was cool was at this point, there was only 12 people left. So from over 300 people, we were down to 12. Getting to a marathon was a great number, and running the marathon, even better. Day 43. We're in ultra territory now. Love them. Love going the ultra distance. It's not about pace at that point. It's about consistency. It's about getting it done. It's about mindset. It's about challenging yourself. So day 43, I actually had a great time. I did the first probably 2/3 of the run, just out running as I enjoy by myself. And then Beck had an appointment to go to. So she met me partway along my run with the running pram. I grabbed Katie and off we went. And Katie and I finished the last 17 kilometers with the pram. So day 43 in the bag, my first ultra of a few. All right, so the number 7 benefit is interacting with you, right? It's all the messages, it's all the conversations I've had. It's all the amazing people that I've been able to get to know, find out their stories, share my story with. So that's one of the most important benefits of doing these things. Thank you to everyone that's jumped on board. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Bart Campbell Backpack Guy. Make sure you check me out on Instagram and TikTok at Backpack Guy TT or Backpack Guy Insta. There's one more to go. Number 8, day 44. We're at the point now where I can start running places I don't normally get to run to because we're pushing out the distance so far. So there's a town about 20 odd kilometers away from Mount Barker that I've always wanted to run to and I never had a chance to yet. So today, it was the day. So Strathalbyn, it's about a 44k loop from my house out to Strath and back. But the interesting thing is the road back is actually a really busy road. I was running at peak traffic time, so there was a lot of cars. As I was running though, all I could think about was Merlin, Wizard of Run, who's running along major highways to get this challenge done. He's doing a lap all the way around Australia. So you know what, if he can do that, I can run to Strath and back. So off I went. It's actually a really fun run. Had a good time, and my pace was quicker than I was expecting. So day 44, still moving nicely, and on my way to day 45. Day 45, So we're getting deep into it now. And look, at this point, of course you're going to be feeling it, right? I'm going to be feeling it a bit. So after yesterday's new track, I thought, let's make it simple today. Let's do a track I know well. So off I went and I did a big loop around the hills that included places like Harndorf. But on this video, all I wanted to do was congratulate anyone that had given it a go, anyone that was still going, and talk about the fact that I didn't know the exact number, but it was a possibility I was top 7 at that point. And it's pretty incredible, right? To know that I've been going for 45 days now, and there was only about 7 or 8 of us still running. So pretty proud of that effort, and enjoyed that run immensely. All right, now day 44, we did the new loop to Strath. Day 45, I just wanted to keep it simple and run a loop I knew well. Well, day 46, let's throw another new loop into it. Now that we're punching out such big numbers, there's some loops that I've always wanted to do and not got a chance to. So I'm not sure if you've heard of an app called Interval, INTVL. Now this isn't an ad, I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that, but I do really like the app. And the reason I like it is that you run loops, and whenever you run a loop, you steal territory. And what happens is if you've got a bunch of people around your area that run, you can all steal territory of each other. It's good fun, gives you a bit of a challenge, makes it a bit competitive. But if you're in a situation like mine, where I like to run these really big distances and big loops, I end up getting to steal some pretty major territory. So over the last 40 odd days, I thought I'm going to take the chance to steal a bit of territory while I'm doing these big loops. So when I started this running challenge, I was ranked about 26th in the country for the Interval app, for the amount of territory I owned. So hold out to the end to find out what ranking I ended up with, but I'll tell you now, I moved up a bit. So on day 46, there's a whole loop that I'd never run, with 46 kilometers to go today. I thought, perfect, I'm going to take a bunch of territory in the Interval app. So off I went and I ran a new loop through Bracunga. Now this is a town I've driven to a few times over the years, but never actually tried to walk or run towards. And it's a fairly reasonable loop, but I didn't realize just how beautiful the terrain out there was. So I really enjoyed running out there. I did steal some territory by doing that loop. So this is where the rubber meets the road. We're up to day 47. Now day 47, I had to be fairly quick, and I was having some issues with my calf, and Beck was a bit worried about, you know, if I was going to run out of time before work or if I was going to be able to continue on. So I said, look, I'll stay close to home. So I ended up just doing huge loops around Mount Barker, never more than about 10 k's from home, but I actually ended up moving pretty comfortably. As much as the calf was giving me some issues, I'd done the right work the night before, and by halfway through the run, didn't even notice it, and off we went. Now, I had a really good song attached to this video on Instagram, but obviously with YouTube licensing, I don't want to get copyright strike, so I've changed the song on it. But the tagline for this video was "Every Little Thing Counts." And so the song that I used was a song called "Every Little Thing Counts" by Jana Stark, which was perfect for the feeling of that run, which was that every little thing counted at that point. 47 days in, it's every single step, it's every little thing that gets you through those deep parts of that run. So day 47, we were still moving. Don't ask me how, but we were still going. So I ended the video with, I guess, I'll see you tomorrow. So I think we might let this video speak for itself. By day 48, there was a lot going on. Hey guys, so day 48 update. We're still going, still moving. It's been an interesting last couple of days. My calves were pretty sore the last couple of days. I was a bit worried about them, so I thought I'd pop over to the physio, get them checked out last night. He said, look, they're okay. Definitely some wear and tear on them, but no injuries or anything. So he gave me some deep tissue massage. I'm feeling a lot better today, but definitely feeling these kilometers. If nothing else, it's the hours, right? I just having trouble keeping up with all the timings, because 5 or 6 hours every morning when I've still got to live my life, get my kids ready for school, go to work, you know, all the normal living stuff. I'm getting tight on it, and sleep's getting neglected a lot. So I felt pretty tired this morning. Look, I'm going to keep riding this train for as long as I can. If today's the last day, then it's been amazing. If I can go again tomorrow, we'll go again tomorrow. We'll find out tomorrow whether I get out there. But anyway, keep being awesome. I love being a part of these challenges. Harry's, you are crazy and I love it. Look, let's be the best we can be. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be honest, at that point, it wasn't about the running. It wasn't about the distance. No, I'm handling it. I can do that kind of distance. And I seem to be handling it really well. It was the time. It was the impact it was having on my life, my family, being able to see my family, give my family time. So at day 48, I wasn't sure how much further I was going to go, but I knew it was getting to the pointy end because the impact was just starting to get a bit much. So by day 49, we're getting tired. It's the runs are getting longer and longer. I just wanted to be comfortable. I wanted to run somewhere where I knew where I was. I knew how far away I was, and Beck wanted to make sure I wasn't too far from home. So I mapped out myself a little loop. At any given moment, I'm not more than about 10 k's from home, but I just ran a huge loop all the way around Mount Barker. I ended up running through Mount Barker Springs, Nan, Little Hampton, Ichunga, Harndorf, just right through the hills as a whole. Really enjoyed it. It was actually really fun. And the funny part was, I ended up a little bit quicker than I was a couple of days earlier. So, I guess that's something to be said for the comfort of running where you know. So, 49, day 49. We did it. We got it done. And I'll be honest, I was as surprised as anyone else. At that point, we're down to the top 5. Top 5 people. I have made it to the top 5. And in that group are people like Margie Hadley and Tim Kabrazak. These are some of Australia's best ultra distance runners. These are a couple of the people that were on the Australian Backyard Ultra team for the team championships last year, where we came second in the world. So, just the idea that I was in the mix with some of those people. And to be honest, the other 2 guys in that top 5, amazing. Lee came out of nowhere, silent assassin. No one expected him to do what he did because no one knew who he was. He just kind of appeared and just kept going. And Merlin, the Wizard of Run, he's a true wizard. Looked him up and I found him. Turns out he's been traveling all around Australia, pulling a cart, and saw the challenge and thought, let's get in it. And he is absolutely amazing and still going strong. So with day 49 in the rear vision mirror, it's on to the big 5-0. All right, we're getting in close for this one because number 8 benefit of doing this. Now, some of you will understand this, some may not, but please go with me on this. I knew when I started this challenge, there was a lot more in me. I knew I was capable of something bigger, but I've never been able to show that. I've had events and I've had challenges where I've really believed it was my time to show it, and I just haven't got there. No Time to Die last year, the Backyard Ultra, I thought I was going far further, but I didn't go as far as I wanted. When I set myself some crazy challenges and goals over the years, I haven't always achieved them, but I knew there was more in me. Well, you know what this challenge did? It showed me that there is more, all right? And it's not until you test yourself. It's not until you push yourself. It's not until you stretch the boundaries of who you are that you find out if there is more. One of my mates messaged me at the end of this challenge, and he knows me well. He has done some of these crazy big challenges with me. And he said, Bart, wow. Just wow. This is really the biggest challenge you've ever taken on, and you've stepped it up. This is the best performance you've ever had. I don't disagree. This really is the best I've ever performed in something. But the crazy thing is, this isn't the best I'll ever perform. I know there's more. This just gave me that extra bit of fire to know when I take on some bigger things over the next couple of years, there is more. There is so much more in here that I'm going to give. So whether it be another challenge like this, whether it be a backyard ultra, whether it be just pushing myself to be faster and better on the events that I'm already planning on doing, no matter what, I know there's more. And this challenge, this proved it to me. So this was one of the biggest benefits, if not the biggest benefit to me personally, was knowing where I'm at, knowing where I'm going. So if you want to find out more about who you are and what's in you, if you want to challenge yourself, go, sign up for something. Give it a go. It doesn't have to be a physical activity. It can be something else you want to test yourself on. But if you want to find out what's really in there, you got to do it. You got to test yourself. You've got to stretch. And when you stretch, you find out what your breaking point is. And what I've learned is that breaking point, it's a lot further down the line than I thought it was. And I'm going to keep stretching. I'm going to keep testing. And we're going to find out just how far Backpack Guy can stretch. Day 50. Now, did I think I was capable of it? Yeah, somewhere deep inside, I believe I'm capable of doing that kind of stuff. Did I think I was actually going to get there? Not really. And if you'd told me at the beginning of this challenge that I would be there in day 50, in the top 5, I don't know if I would have believed you. But here we are, day 50. And what a day it was. I wanted to still punch out something new, something I'd not done before. There was a loop I had wanted to do for a long time, and it was a huge section on interval on the app that no one had taken ownership of. But the only way to do it was to do a big run. And I got to be honest, as much as I would love to keep going, as much as I had more in me and more to give, there wasn't any more left in my household to give. I had been pushing my family as hard as I could. I had my wife doing everything in the house when it came to the kids. I was getting up, not that long after I was going to bed. I was getting up at 1 o'clock in the morning so I could go out and go for these massive runs. I would get home pretty much right as the kids needed to go to school. So my wife had to get the kids ready. And on some days, my mum had to come, my father-in-law had to come and look after the kids, get them ready. And then I had to quickly rush them to school, then get home, get myself ready, and then go to work. It was getting too much. And look, I love a good challenge. I love pushing myself. I love taking myself to that next degree. But I also don't want to take other people where they don't need to go. And I felt like what I was doing was having a strain on my family, on the people around me, the people I love. And as much as I want to do this challenge, they don't need to do this challenge. This was not for them. So the decision was made. A couple of days earlier, Beck and I had chatted when I got to around the 45, 46 mark. And we decided that 50 was the number. That we were going to get to 50. She was going to do everything in her power to get me to the 50. As long as she had a finish point, an end point, she knew we could get there. So she put everything she had into the last couple of days. Days 48 and 49, she did everything she could for me. And day 50, she let me go. And so off I went. Now, the loop I did, as I said, was more than 50 Ks. But I knew if this was the end, if this was my final day, day 50, then I wasn't going to go out easy. I was going to go out giving it everything I had. So off I went. And the first 20 Ks, horrible. I had stomach issues, I had leg issues. I just didn't have it. I was running so slow, I was below the minimum pace that I had to be for the challenge. But as the kilometers built up, as we got to the 20K and then the 30K, all of a sudden, everything kicked into gear. The legs started moving, the body started working, and for the next 15 to almost 20 kilometers, I was punching out 6-minute kilometers without much of a challenge. It was amazing. So at 40 kilometers, my wife met me to bring me some drinks and just to check how I was going. And two things. One, she couldn't believe how far away I was. She said the drive to get to where I was so much further than she thought. And the funny thing was, she drove the way I was about to run back. So she knew how far I had to go. But the other thing was the comment she made to me. So Beck has been at many an ultra with me, crewing me at different aid stations. And she's seen me run into an aid station, deep into an ultra. And she said when I ran into that 40 kilometer point, she said she's never seen me with so much energy at that point. 40 kilometers in, and I was running comfortably. I was moving, I was happy, I was excited. She said I jogged up to the car, grabbed some drinks, put some sunscreen on, and then off I went. So I think making that decision for it to be the final day for me on the challenge was actually a good thing. It gave me that extra energy I needed to punch through that and to get it done. Now, what was interesting was the day before I'd received a message from the Hardcore Harry's team asking if they could give me a call on day 50. I was more than happy to take the call, but I did tell them I probably wasn't going to be finished my run till about 11 o'clock in the morning. So they said, well, we'll give you a call after that. So remember, I had 50 kilometers to do that day. I was running at about 57 kilometers when my phone rang. And it was Ethan from Hardcore Harry's. So I took the call from Ethan while I was finishing my last kilometer. And it was an awesome conversation. It was sad to tell him that I was done, that was the last run of the challenge for me. They weren't expecting that. But we had a really good chat about the idea that, you know, I'd gone further than I'd planned, and that I was obviously doing it for the sake of my family, and that, look, I'm sure I'll be back, and there's plenty of good things to come. Day 50, 58 kilometers, absolutely stoked with that number. Felt amazing. I actually finished it really well. Beck met me at the finish line, a whole bunch of snacks. Of course, I couldn't do a massive ultra without the support of my father-in-law, so I had my full crew on hand for me on day 50. So I talked about some of the biggest benefits of doing this challenge. And there's one that's, I don't think necessarily a benefit of doing it, but it's just something that has to be mentioned. It's just how much fun I had doing it. This was such a good time. You know, the Hardcore Harry's team, they run an amazing event, they keep it fun, they post regular updates. You know, you want to be involved because they're so involved. So it was just great fun. I had a great time. You know, I would do it again in a heartbeat, no matter how far I can take it. But getting to that deep section of this run, you know, being in that top echelon, it made it a little bit more fun. So if you can do it, give it a go. You just never know how far you can take it, and you'll have fun doing it, trust me. So I hope that gives you some insight into what I went through. There's so much more that happened in this challenge, but there's only so long I can make these videos for. And look, there's probably going to be more stories to come. If you've got comments, if you've got questions, throw them at me. I'm going to keep making videos. You're going to see more of the crazy things I've done over the years, and there's plenty of more crazy stuff to come. Thank you, Harry's. Thank you, Hardcore Harry's, for this amazing challenge. I had so much fun doing it, and there's plenty more of your challenges to come, so I'm going to have lots of fun doing those. And thanks to all the people that helped me along the way on this challenge. Thanks to my family for supporting me and getting me through. And thanks to you guys for checking out my stuff, watching me, following me on this journey. So many people watched my my daily Instagram uploads or my TikTok videos. So thank you. And if you haven't, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, because I need people. I need you to watch. I want you to enjoy. And I've got so many more videos to come. And I'm motivated by hearing from you guys. So keep letting me know what you think. Throw me some comments. If you're happy, I'd love to hear about it. If you're not happy, I want to hear too, because help me be better. Help me make better videos. Anyway, that was the Hardcore Harry's Last One Standing Challenge. 50 days of craziness. So I'm going to throw up on the screen now some of my stats. Most importantly, the distance, the hours run, the elevation. So check out those numbers and have a great day. I'll see you on the next video.